Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Yes, it is me yet again, trying to do my best to give you guys some, I hope, decent entertainment, and I hope something that will kind of get you to think differently about how we're getting things done in this nation. I hope it's working. I keep trying. If you think it's important, it works, then you know what? Do me a favor. Like, comment, share. The more that you like, the more that you comment, the more that you share, the better off we are in making this thing work. And I really want this to work absolutely as much as we possibly can make it work. I do appreciate all the time and energy. If you can, go ahead and support me on with cash. If you got some Trump bucks, some Biden bucks, some stolen bucks, whatever you got, patreon.com/SharpeWay would help me out tremendously. I want to bring up something that we've been talking about constantly, and I've been talking about months ago, and that is the vaccines. I have been a big proponent of the idea of allowing the private sector to handle this more. I've been trying to make that happen more. I wasn't angry with Trump's plan to distribute. I wasn't at all. I thought it wasn't a bad plan. Give it to the army first to get them to deliver stuff, right? And then get it out to the local places to make that work. I spoke about that 2 months ago. 2 months ago, November, I was talking about this. October, I was talking about this. I was bringing up these concepts back then, and I talked about the way to deliver these ideas of the vaccine back in the summer, if you remember. This is 6 or 8 months ago. I was talking about the way we can deliver the vaccines, allowing people to go get them. I was very afraid of the mandate. Remember, I discussed that several times. I was afraid of having the mandate instead, allowing people to go get it. I talked as early as a month and a half ago about just making an age first and then letting the age go ahead and do that and move on from there. All those things about getting the vaccine done. My governor, and if you live in New York, your governor, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, all hail the king, he decided that, you know what? That's a bad idea. Government has to control this. That has to be the answer. There is no other answer. And vaccine, the idea that that we could actually make things work with, the private sector. Come on. Terrible, could never work ever. He was mad at it, said it couldn't work. And I attacked him for it. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what I talked about with him. This is gonna be weird. It's me commenting on me. I know it's kind of weird, but anyway, I'll show you what I mean by that real fast. You'll see where I'm going with this. How I talked about this and said he was wrong. Let me be clear. I'm doing this because a lot of times people like, if I was there, I would have. They do a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking. I don't. When it first comes out, if you pay attention to me, I give you my plan early. I had my COVID plans out last year, and I had my vaccine plans out last year. I give you plans early, and if I'm wrong, then I look bad, right? Then I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I do a little I told you so, because I'm trying to tell you that there are ways of making this happen that just make sense. It's me and me. I know it's kind of weird, but just listen up. What kind of organization would be able at a retail level for people who wanted to come on in to take advantage of something like that? What kind of organization would ever be able to say, do it in almost every city in America, most small towns in America? Could it be maybe like, I don't know, a Walgreens, a Walmart, a CVS? They literally are in almost every town in America. This is what I was talking about. This, by the way, is recorded. If you want to see it, this is my show from November 17th. That's about 2 months ago that I brought exactly that plan up. Why don't we just do that? That's the way we can make this work. Already allowing people to go in and buy whatever they want. Yep. If you want the vaccine, just make it available. Go get it. He acts like we have to go door to door. Now your children, vaccine them. Is that what we're doing? I sure hope not. Yes, I did a bad German accent. Yes, I did. Anyway, is that what we're doing? Kicking indoors? No. I sure hope not. No. There is my fear. My fear is now and has always been. The reason why he cannot stand the idea of the private sector doing this is because he cannot control them when it comes to a mandate. Yes, I said it then and I still believe it now, and that's why he didn't want it. That was the reason why he didn't want it, because of that important fact. He wanted to have control over it. and finally had to accept that he couldn't have control. He wasn't happy about that. He was very unhappy about that. So I was saying, we deliver it out, give it out, and now people can come in and grab it as they see fit, right? If you want to make an age range, right? You say, first we start with 75 and older or something like that. Then 70 and older, then 65 and older, and people come as they want. They keep going back and back and back until you take care of all the vaccines that you have. No problem. I think it's an easy day. Done deal, right? Makes total sense to make that happen. Well, he also was upset about that too. So let me grab this piece from the same show. By the way, if anybody want to watch it, if any of you want to watch it, head over to the YouTube page. It's November 17th. And yeah.
How is it going to be distributed?
Oh, how in the world can anything in this planet be distributed across the country? Yep. It's as if we'd have to have a system like a supply chain of national chains who could deliver stuff every day. How? That's literally what he said. He was upset and angry that we could never do it, that it would be impossible.
And will it be equitable, and will it be fair?
See, it won't be equitable. It won't be fair unless he controls it. And it can't happen. There's no way. He has to control it. That was his entire piece. He had to control it. Let me grab one more piece, and you'll see what I mean as I wrap this up. This is me talking literally 2 months ago.
President talks about CVS and Walgreens.
CVS, Walgreens, those losers. That's what we're talking about.
National chains.
National chains.
Sure. But they are mainly located in rich communities.
That's what I'm saying. I go to my CVS. Everybody's rich. Everybody's rich. Oh, I went to a CVS. Lamborghinis out front. BMWs out front. Oh, my God. Women in furs, walking their poodles. That's all I saw. So a guy with a monocle. I mean, come on. How can people buy this garbage? How can they buy this? CVS is only in rich areas. Just the filthy rich go to CVS. CVS. There's a CVS in my neighborhood. Two of them. I guess we're all rich. I didn't realize. I'm going to go buy my Monopoly Man hat right now. Get a white mustache and a monocle. We're good. I didn't know I was rich. Clearly I am. Clearly all my friends out here. Rich. Because we go to CVS. Because that's only in rich neighborhoods. Walgreens. Oh, filthy rich Walgreens. You go to Walgreens. Probably they got a helipad on most Walgreens because rich people they helicopter in. Now, of course, I was teasing, but my point was this was the entire plan that I talked about that would actually work, right? I'm on record saying that this actually would work. Now we look at what actually happened as they started to put the vaccines out, right? What plan actually began to work? What was the best answer? And we can look at West Virginia. Believe it or not, West Virginia actually is one of the best plans. And they're in a tough spot. West Virginia is in a tough spot because it's not a wealthy state. For those of you who may or may not know about West Virginia, it's not a wealthy state. But not only is it not a wealthy state, it has a very elderly population and statistically a sicker population. So there are people who are, they're in trouble in West Virginia. But let me grab this if I could and see if I can make this bigger. There we go. And now I will let you listen to this quick shot here. Oops, hold on. This is literally from ABC News. Are we going? Am I doing it right? Here we go.
Virginia is particularly urgent. The population here is among the oldest and most chronically ill in the nation. One key factor, the logistic capabilities of the National Guard.
Yes, I literally mentioned this. Cuomo, if you remember, in his press conference, attacked the military. He said, why are you giving it to the Army? What do they know? And if you remember what I mean, what organization spends its entire lifetime shipping soldiers and war material all around the world on a daily basis, making sure things get there on time? I don't know. The Army? It's what they do. That's what they do. So what did West Virginia do? Use the Army.
The precious vials arrive in state. The Guard distributes them
Yep.
to 5 hubs. Within hours, they are sent to local drugstores and health clinics in each of the 55 counties.
Local drugstores and health clinics. Now, if you know much about West Virginia is very rural compared to most states. So there are a lot of people in poor areas. It's a poor state. All these healthcare deserts that they talked about, they're not CVS deserts or Walgreens deserts. No matter where you live in West Virginia, you can get to a Walgreens or a CVS or a Rite Aid or whatever is the appropriate chain in your town. It can be done. And guess what? People got there. They got there. West Virginia has the best rates in the nation because they did this. They used the Army, then local stores.
How big a difference has the Guard made?
Tremendous. Because that's their logistics is their thing.
Yes.
Use what you have. You tell them you need something done. You tell them the time you want it done. It'll get done.
Yes.
This average is 250.
Once on site, every part of the process, from the check-in to the shots,
Look at that.
15-minute wait afterwards, is constantly monitored.
Look at that.
We can track every half hour or hour.
Okay, this isn't California. This isn't Silicon Valley. This isn't New York City. This is West Virginia. And do you know why this worked? Because they put a plan in place last year. Yeah, they put a plan in place last year. Not my governor. My governor sat around complaining about Trump literally for months, then hoped that Biden would have magic powers. By the way, he does not have magic powers. But he hoped he had magic powers. And then when things began to fail, began to rebuild out lots of things and blame others. That's what my governor did. The people of West Virginia said, you know what? I have an idea. How about a plan? And how about we use what we have, like the infrastructure we already have for drugstores and our own National Guard who actually cares about the state.
The speed of which we're moving people through. And it allows me to shift my sectors so I can give people lunch breaks or just simply a break.
Look at that. You get to have lunch breaks in West Virginia too. In New York, you don't because no one shows up or it's a disaster. Complain, complain, complain.
Because of this tracking, West Virginia has been able to distribute more than 83% of its doses, the highest of any state.
Yes.
Every single vaccine that comes into this state, before the end of the week, we've got it in somebody's arm.
See that?
Justice has been the governor here since 2017. One of the things you did is go through local pharmacies. You didn't depend on the bigger Walgreens and CVS.
He went through all of them.
Have a lot of those.
Right. Yeah, thank goodness. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but
No, he doesn't. He's saying he did use them. He didn't depend on them. He used those and the local ones. In New York State, there are over 5,000 pharmacies, including the Walgreens and the Rite Aids, but also local pharmacies. Somehow people get their drugs. That's exactly what happened. It actually worked the way we talked about it. I bring this up for a very important reason, because we so often begin to yell and scream and talk about how government failed and our private sector can never work ever. Yet this is when it actually does work. This is when it does work. When you stop taking so much control over it and actually believe in people. It's magical how when you don't believe in people, as New York State doesn't believe in people, it believes only in process and government control, that New York State literally is throwing vaccines away. That's not a joke. They're throwing vaccines away. West Virginia actually said, you know what? Why don't I trust my people a little bit? Let me give it a shot. And it worked. Don't get me wrong. Of course, the system isn't perfect. Of course it isn't. But that's the best in the nation. The best in the nation is exactly what I talked about. Using the National Guard, because you have an army, particularly the National Guard, the National Guard comes from your state. So it's their cities, their towns, their neighborhoods. They actually care. They come from that place. It's their family and friends. They care. They take charge of it. And they hand it out to the local places, the local Walgreens, the local Bob's, discount drugs, whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden, people can show up. They're a centralized hub and a plan. And things work. Crazy, isn't it? Let me tell you real fast if I can. Show you if I could. Let me show you what my governor, what he was talking about when it was done. This is what my governor said about the plan that's been failing. What he did. Not like, the West Virginia governor said, we're doing it good. It's working well. My governor, what he had to say. This is him today.
Do the math.
Do the math. Tell me.
It's a supply issue.
It's a supply issue. That's what it is. It's a supply issue because it can't be his fault. Nope.
We have an extensive distribution chain.
Now, what are you using?
Private pharmacies.
I thought you hated private pharmacies. 2 months ago, that was the worst thing in the world. But when your plan failed, you realized you had to start using private pharmacies because that was the right answer the whole time, which I told you 3 months ago, which you didn't want to listen because you knew better, because you wanted a mandate, because you wanted government agents to be doing all of this. Did I get that right? I think I did.
Local governments, hospitals, mass vaccination sites, which are the single most productive vaccination distribution mechanism.
No, they're not.
So we have the distribution,
You made
we
it
just
up.
don't have the product, right?
See that? Well, who wants to make the product?
The shelves are empty. There's nothing we can do about that.
Nothing.
That is dependent on the federal government.
Isn't it always? Doesn't he just, do New Yorkers get tired of him always just saying whenever anything goes wrong, it's the federal government's problem? It's always their fault, always their mistake. Never taking responsibility ever. I know you guys, you see me almost every week doing this because every week he does this. Every week he goes on TV and goes, not my fault, it's the federal government's fault. Every single week he does that. Almost daily. He blames everyone else except for himself. He does it constantly. That's the governor that I have. And guess what? Elected 3 times. Yes, elected 3 times. Blame, blame, and more blame. Let me grab some comments if I can here. So, like, share, repeat. Yes, Connie, please do that. Yes. Man, you guys get mad when I'm sorry. I was shoveling snow today, believe it or not. We got like 16 inches of snow here in New York City. Yes, I live in New York City. Got like 16 inches of snow. By the way, what I found out today, which I found out a couple years ago too, I'm not 20-something anymore. Who knew? I knew, and boy, did my muscles know, I am not 20-something anymore. Shoveling is something to do. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sir. Yes. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Absolutely. Share, 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 please. Absolutely. Yes, he's right. Please share a lot. Hey, Larry, when are you going back on Rogan? I don't know. Maybe if I run for something again, or maybe I've got, as I said before, I have a book coming out this year. Maybe when my book comes out, I'll go back on. I don't really have much to pump right now, if that makes sense. So when I want to push my book and try to get you guys to buy it, maybe I'll go out there, or if I declare for governor in the summer, I'll go on and try to get some people to do that. Absolutely. Yes. So Cohen Sharpe, I'm insulted that you would put Cohen ahead of me, Mr. Redemption. I'm kidding. He's a fine guy. Spike's fine. Totally teasing you. Yes, whatever. So you never receive a stimulus? That's pretty crappy. I don't like that at all. You should have received it. I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Yes. So, all right. I'll see if I can keep going. I just mentioned you today in a conversation. Thank you for being you. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for being a fan. I appreciate that. The more people who see this, that's great. Yes, absolutely. So let's see here. Yep, the feds found pharmacies. Hope they can find doctor's office too. It's funny how they found it when they were always there. They were asking for it. They wanted people to come into their facilities, their retail facilities. That's really the answer. So why wouldn't we let them do that? It is exactly what they're trying to achieve. It drives me crazy. So Larry talked to us 6 or 8 months ago about how to fix a lot of this. Yes, I have been saying the answers to this for months, and I do it early all the time, right? I showed that one because I happened to remember that one from 2 months ago, and it was a direct attack on what he was saying. And I wanted to show you how wrong he was, and then how he then changed his mind completely. And doesn't even say sorry, wrong, nothing. Just, this is how it is. See how good I am? So now he's taking credit for the local pharmacies. Literally, I built this out. You built it out. After it failed and we were throwing them out, after we were throwing vaccines out, now you built it? Yeah, you didn't have to. You could have done the right way in the first place. So yes, I bring this up often. Often. Wife got the vaccine. She had a little nausea on the first shot and was sick to her stomach the day after the second dose. Ouch. I hope she's better now. I hope she is. So, yes. You found Twitch. I did. I am on Twitch too, guys. I absolutely am. I'm trying my best. Yes. I am a healthcare provider. I thought the best plan would be to let each county health department tally what they needed and to figure out the best way to distribute them. If we let Amazon do it, we would have had them vaccinated by Saturday, Wednesday if you're a Prime member. Yes, right? I mean, to be forward, in West Virginia, they have Walgreens and those types. They have Walgreens. They have some chains, but they don't have that many of them relative to places like New York. New York has tons of Rite Aids and Walgreens, but New York also has lots of local pharmacies also. The idea is get to a central hub, get something like the National Guard or someplace like that, or even Amazon could have done it and then delivered it to those places. And they know, as I said, they know how many people they need. And West Virginia figured this out, and the rest of us didn't. Anything the government puts their hands on gets screwed up. Government running the vaccine, I'm just waiting to see what happens. And you're seeing it happen in every place except West Virginia, right? Those people who were there, getting that done, were satisfied. They wanted the vaccine, and they got it, and that's amazing, right? Most people want the vaccine. And if you want the vaccine, it should be available for you, particularly if you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, right? I mean, if you're in that age range of 70, 75, 80, or if you're younger but have a pre-existing condition, you probably should get the vaccine because COVID can really kill you. So your chemo, any of those things, you probably want it. So absolutely. So our government doesn't care about doing it early. No, you're right. Planning, not their skill set. But you know who plans very well? Military. They plan everything. That's what the military does. That's why when they went to the National Guard, they said months ago, hey, National Guard, we're going to get a bunch of vaccines. Can you figure out a way? Has to be delivered from A to B by, X date. They went, yes, we'll figure that out. It's what we do. We move soldiers and materiel around for a living. We'll do it. No worries. And they did. Why didn't New York do that? If I remember, there was a general who was supposed to be in charge of the initial vaccine. And boy, did Cuomo get mad at him. Oh, terrible. Why would you put a general? What does the Army know about vaccines? And I thought, wow, how ignorant are you about our military? And that man, Cuomo, wants to be commander-in-chief. And you don't realize that one of the biggest, most important things that our military does, logistics. You can't fight a battle if the tanks aren't there, if the troops aren't there, what do they got? Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. I know some of you know that. Beans, bullets, and bandages. Sorry. Beans, bullets, bandages. That's what we say in the military. Or used to. Do you still say that now? I'm old man. That's what we used to say. So, yeah, we got to get them all there. Yes. So, I thought it was about they took 8 months on a vaccine that has taken at least 10 years in the past, and you can still give it to someone else. Not sure we're talking about, Stephen, on that one. I apologize. Sorry. Sorry about that. Larry commenting on Larry. I know it's kind of funny, but yes, I accept that's how I do I told you so, Brian, right? I got to do some I told you so here or there, right? So you don't think Larry's just making it up. He didn't say that. Yeah, I said it months ago. I gave the instruction months ago. I created the policy months ago. As soon as this began to come to play, I went, okay, here's how we make this work to where, again, no extra taxes. Number one piece. New York, tons of extra taxes in overtime, right? No extra taxes. The private market wants to do it, voluntarily does it, right? And no forcing of anybody. West Virginia, home run. I wish my plan was as good as theirs. Theirs was good too. Mine was good. Mine was close to theirs, but theirs worked better for West Virginia. Mine would have worked better for New York. So, yes. All right. Remember when Biden in debates kept saying he didn't trust the vaccine coming out under Trump? Well, yeah, right. Remember, the Trump plan was bad because it was Trump's plan. That's why it was bad. Even though that's almost exactly, it's a little bit off, but almost exactly the plan that worked in West Virginia. But no one's calling it Trump plan because now Trump is bad. So we can't call it Trump plan. And Manchin's a Democrat, so he can't call it Trump plan. So that now is the Biden plan. So they just crossed out Trump, wrote Biden, and said, see, it's the Biden plan. That's what's working. Trump plan, that was for chumps, right? That can't work. Biden plan, way so different and way better. So that's what happened. Yes. So Larry, man, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Yes. By the way, good job on vaccinating garbage cans in New York. He did. Tons of them right in the garbage. Our garbage cans will never, ever, our dumps will never get COVID. Guaranteed. Absolutely. Yes. I was confused because I didn't see the smaller Larry talking. Yeah, it's like Larry and Larry, like picture in picture. It's Larry and Larry. That's what it is. Yes. This vaccine is stupid. It's kind of like birth control. It gives everyone having sex a false sense of protection. You don't always know when someone's taking it, and it doesn't always work. But then isn't that kind of like every vaccine, Rob? I feel like that's kind of every vaccine, isn't it? Are you saying that it's this vaccine in particular, or are you saying that it's vaccines in general? I'm not sure where you're going with that. If you look at vaccines in general, vaccines tend to work. They're not 100%, and some people have terrible, terrible reactions. Those things do happen. But as a general rule, their goal is to stop you from getting the thing. They tend to work, but not always. The flu vaccine sometimes, depending on the year, is sometimes as weak as 30%. I mean, sometimes it's that ineffective, but sometimes it's very effective. So I think it really depends upon the vaccine. I don't know if I would buy that for every vaccine, but for some, I think some, I often don't get a flu vaccine. And the reason why I often don't is because the flu vaccine tends to not be that effective relative to other vaccines. And the flu doesn't really beat me up that badly when I get it. I get it sometimes. It knocks me out for a day or two and then I'm back in action. I'd rather my body fight it off. So I rarely get a flu vaccine. But, I think it's up to you. And if you're, I would argue, Robert, if you're in that world where, the COVID might really kill you, like you're, 65, 70, you have a pre-existing condition, COVID really might kill you. So maybe you want to live your life to get a vaccine. And even if it doesn't work, it sounds horrible, I know, but would you rather live in fear? If that was you, obviously, Robert, that's not you, but if it was you, would you rather live in fear? I don't know. I think I'd take it and try to live my life again. Just my view. I could be wrong. So yes. Rich, yes. There's a CVS in my small town, hillbilly town. Yes, the CVS is I live in Queens. I live in Astoria. This is not like a super rich, it's not even close to rich neighborhood. Most people are renters. This is not a massively rich neighborhood at all. And there's 2 CVSs within walking distance from my house. 2. So yeah. Rich. Do rich people get CVSs? I don't think that's true. Yes. So let's see here. Can we get more videos of you watching videos of yourself talking? Finally, some of you totally agree with. Yes, that guy in that little box next to me, always right. He's a genius. Absolutely. Yes. He thinks the only rich have CVS because that's the only one in his neighborhood. That might be true. He is completely out of touch. So that might absolutely be true. Yes, 100%. So, all righty. There's the link, by the way, if anybody wants to watch it. I think it's pretty funny. But then again, I'm blatantly biased. But that's just my view. Yes. This is a great idea. All jokes aside. Yeah, it actually worked, right? That's my point, right? When I brought this up earlier, it was the idea of just allowing people in local areas. Cuomo talked, for those of you who are paying attention, I know a lot of people aren't, but he talked about the idea of healthcare deserts. Now, he didn't actually know what a healthcare desert is. Someone told him what that was. He's like, oh, we could use that to fool the people. And a healthcare desert is if you are 60 minutes or more away from a major healthcare facility. Healthcare deserts actually exist. That's a real thing. CVS or pharmacy deserts, that's not a thing that he just made up. Nobody, at least in my state for sure, I doubt anyone, if West Virginia can do it, and they're a rural state, then anybody can do it, right? So no one is more than 60 minutes away from a pharmacy or a CVS or a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or whatever is the chain in your area, right? No one is more than 60 minutes away from that. From a major, facility, maybe that's possible. That's a real thing. But he just used that to overlap to blame everybody. And most people in New York went, oh, he's so smart. Oh, he's amazing. It's insane. It's totally not true. It's completely made up. So you do want to go to local areas. And you also make it very simple. Just show your ID. If you're over a certain age, whatever that age is, get it. Done, right? You start with 75. Once an area is done of that, then you go to 70 and 65. You keep going. And as vaccines come in, whether they come in at 300,000 a week or 3 million a week, whatever they come in, You keep the age high and you just go down. Maybe you go down 2 years, 3 years until you're down to the lowest. But Larry, what about the kids? You guys know this. Very few children get it. And if your child might get it and is in trouble, you as a parent probably know, right? Because your kid has a pre-existing condition that would affect your kid, and you would know that. You apply for a waiver. Say, hey, my kid's got this issue. I want to get ahead of the line. Nobody's going to go, to hell with your kid. That's not going to happen. They're going to go, fine. Show me the waiver. The government will stamp a waiver, and you'll move ahead. The odds are if your child falls into that category, you probably know your child's health. I have 2 kids. I know their health. You would know their health and you apply for a waiver and you'd move ahead of the line because your kid has a special situation. All good. You could solve all these problems and get most people vaccinated very quickly. And West Virginia is actually doing that. In fact, there's one part of West Virginia, a part of it, which actually, this is going to sound funny. This same governor did another interview. Who was it? I forgot. CNN maybe? And he said they actually have a over 100% vaccination rate. Over 100%, because they were so efficient in certain areas of West Virginia that they could get a little bit more out of it, so that the vials, they actually got more doses than the vials they got because a little bit extra in each vial. That is how good they were in West Virginia. Insane. This system, and this is not government run by government. No, it's not. It isn't. So anyway, that was a show we talked about the rich guy with the monocle. Yes. I'm now super rich now. I didn't realize that I was rich. Yes. Everyone knows how rich West Virginia is. The West Virginian people, loaded, all of them. That's like the Cayman Islands of Appalachia. That's the Cayman Islands of Appalachia. Everyone there's loaded. I mean, I can't believe it. You know anybody from West Virginia? They usually only have one Lamborghini, but some have like 2 or 3. It's funny when you drive down the areas in West Virginia, you get pulled over by cop cars that are Lamborghinis because those are the spare ones that they got from auction. There's so many of them. It's an issue. It's an issue. Absolutely. Yes. Walgreens, CVS. Come on, Larry. A proper New York goes to Dwayne Reed. Dwayne Reed. Yes, absolutely. You pick whatever you want to pick. It's all good. So you haven't been to New York in a while, have you, Charlie? It's fine. So yes. All right. How rich does your neighborhood have to be to have a Rite Aid? That's what we have. I feel like that's knockoff CVS, and I'm actually still poor. Jeff, yeah, you're poor. Sorry. CVS, that's for chumps like me. I'm kidding. No. CVS is the rich people. Walgreens, super rich. Rite Aid's like regular, like you're like upper middle class. CVS is rich. Walgreens is like super rich. So sorry, Jeff. Better neighborhood, man. Better neighborhood. But even you could get a vaccine. Absolutely. If the Army can get one thing right, it's logistics. That's what they do for a living. And if you know anything about how the military works, you know that's what they'll do. Yes, absolutely. We keep seeing shortages in vaccines. Do you see an end in sight for shortages? Not for a while. I don't, Chelsea. I think we're going to have a shortage for a bit, which means you have to focus on the right people, which is age. Now, people have said, no, you want to do nursing home facilities or the staff there or the staff in hospitals. No, that's not true. That's not what you want to do. While those people might get it, their odds of getting it might be higher. Their odds of death aren't high. The odds of serious illness aren't higher. Some people do have long, illnesses. But again, if you have a pre-existing condition, apply for the waiver so you can get it if you want it. But a lot of the people who get it who are younger, they aren't going to have long-lasting problems, many of them. And they probably aren't going to die. The odds are. So if you've got to make a decision, a triage, right? What are you going to do? Wouldn't you want to go with the people, who you think have the highest chance of dying? That's the elderly. So I would give it to them first. The odds of them dying if they get it are far higher. Than other people who are in their 30s, 40s, 20s, far higher. So that's why I would go there. And as you keep doing it, you'll see it getting better and better and better. It will over time. Now, the reason why I know this also to be true is you're finding a very high refusal rate in nursing homes and medical facilities. in certain areas up to 60%. They say, I don't want it. They don't want it. And there's many reasons why they don't want it. Some don't like vaccines, but others are saying, why are you giving it to me? I've been working the front line for a year. I either already got it or I'm not going to get it or whatever. It's fine. I'm fine. Give it to the people who I watch die every day. Give it to them, right? If I get it, I'll survive. These people won't, and I watch them die. So how about give it to them instead of me? There's a high refusal rate. Some actually don't trust the vaccine. Some don't. Some don't like it. Some think it's too fast. There's some of that. But a lot of people just saying, why me? Give somebody else. The people there, they're on the front line. They're watching the death. And they're like, you know what? Give it to that person instead. I think you're seeing some of that too. So I don't think we'll see a change in the shortages. I think we're going to be short for a while. That's my view. So good evening. Good seeing you. Yes, Pete. I'm glad you brought this up again because you always do. But the point is, right now, New York State's in serious debt. Some of you may or may not know that. Serious debt. And I mean hundreds of millions. Sorry, millions. Millions. You know, you small states in your hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. New York State's in billions of dollars of debt. Millions. So we're in billions of dollars of debt. So much debt. We're in tons of debt. So what did we decide to do? Well, we could have almost for free used the National Guard, which is no extra money on us. We're already paying for them, what we're paying. And the federal government pays for a bunch too. So that will be no extra cost using the National Guard. And we could have used existing infrastructure for our Department of Health. And we could have just used literally the CVS's and Duane Reade's and Rite Aid's and Walgreens of the world, local pharmacies. So don't have to build out anything. We didn't do any of that, Pete. What we did was go, we have to build out a panel. I'm not making this up. A panel to review this and decide where it goes and how we deliver it. And then we have to build out individual sites and blah, 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 and pay workers and stop more hospitals from doing stuff and spend all this money, all this time to raise our debt even more. So you might say, well, why do I care, Larry? I don't live in New York. Why do I care if your debt's high? Because what Pete just showed you, that bailout package, that's coming to us. That's coming to us. Out of that $300 some odd million, you can guarantee we're getting a big chunk of that. Uncle Joe's going to bail out New York. So for those who don't live in New York, thanks. We're taking your money. So that debt's going to go shooting right up. We're going to grab some of your cash. That's why you should care. Because Pete's right. That's why you should care. Yes. Worse yet, New York already had a mass vaccination plan in place from the days of SARS and Ebola. Cuomo's plan gutted it. Well, because it wasn't Cuomo's plan, and therefore by default bad. Just by default bad. Absolutely. So, yes. People in West Virginia are resilient and are used to making do with very little. Paula, nicely done. You are 100% correct, and I bring this up often. And what I mean by this is people say, Larry, how in the world can you make these policies? Right? You're not in government, right? You've never held political office. How can you possibly make these policies? And how are you so often right? Not 100%, but I'm right a lot. And I can say that because I've been producing content for literally 5 years now. And I've been talking about policies and plans for 5 years now. And it's out there. I don't take it all down. So if I'm wrong, you can go check me out and hammer me and say how wrong I was. So I'm usually right on these things. How? Because to your point, Paula, I'm an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs have to think the same way. As an entrepreneur, when my business fell apart after the crash and I was devastated and just crushed, I couldn't just go, wow, I'm broke and I'm in debt. You know what? Hey, Pete, I'm going to raise your taxes and steal your money. I couldn't do that. Hey, Paula, give me a bunch of money or I'll put you in jail. I couldn't do that as a small business owner. I had to reboot, see what I had, and make better offerings to get people to buy my stuff again. I had to reboot. That's what I had to do. That's how entrepreneurs think. We don't think, I'm just going to steal people's money with force and change laws. I couldn't do that. So I have to find ways of making money, of building value, or I can't survive as an entrepreneur. I haven't had a job, if you know what I mean, like that kind of job in about now 17 years. Is that about right? About 17 years, give or take. So yeah, of course, that's what I have to do. I couldn't survive, right? Literally, I live in New York City. I have a wife and 2 kids. My wife doesn't work. You can imagine what my bills are. Somehow I have to pay those bills. I've got to create value, or I'm not staying in my home. So you are totally correct. Absolutely on the money. I appreciate that. Sometimes you've got to be able to kind of move through things, think in a way that will bring more and more value to, I would say, if I was governor of New York, the people of New York are my customers. My customers have to say, that's valuable. Imagine if you were in New York now, and for you New Yorkers, this is a foreign concept. Imagine if you could say to yourself, you know what? My tax rate isn't bad at all, because all the great things that I get, I would happily pay for. Wouldn't that be amazing? I know some of you just probably spit up your coffee if you're having coffee or whatever, because that's so not true in New York. But imagine if it was. Now, could I make that happen overnight? No. But would that be my goal to move towards? Yes. I want to get us closer and closer to where New Yorkers aren't complaining about taxes. Imagine a New York where people are not complaining about taxes. With like taxes, yeah, I mean, the government taxes me, but it isn't that bad because I get this, and my taxes are low, and I have this opportunity and this thing, and if I want, I can pay for that, and if I want, I pay for this. It's fine. Imagine a New York like that. That would be insane, because we are nowhere near that right now. Just nowhere near. There's too many problems and issues and concerns. But if you have some of those problems, issues, and concerns, here is one answer for you. Larry Sharpe, host of the Sharpe Way here. Look, are you dealing with some anxiety, some stress, maybe some pain from hustling during this tough time? If you think a CBD product might help you relieve some of that anxiety or pain, head on over to grownselection.com. Check them out. High quality, top rated, libertarian owned. Looking for creams, powders, oils, whatever is going to make your health better. Check them out. Make a purchase, put in Sharpe Way 20, get 20% off. They're our sponsor. Support us, support your health, grownselection.com. That guy's right. Listen to him. He's 100% right. He knows what he's talking about. Absolutely. And by the way, also, please like, comment, and share. Always a good idea. Like, comment, share. So let me keep grabbing down here if I can. This vaccine is different than average drugs. It does have to be shipped and stored at sub temperatures. It is different. It's a different way of doing it. It absolutely is. And there's 2 different types. But yes, absolutely, it is a different drug. Yes. The king has to control everything. 100%, Julie, that's what he thinks. He should have just let health people take care of the vaccine. I know, crazy, right? People who already deal with these issues, who do it for a living, like you're saying, drugstores, doctors, hospitals. The king is too narcissistic to not be in charge of it unless there's blame. Then someone else did it. Julie, you have expressed him completely. Absolutely, yes. I saw suggested somewhere that if the vaccine distribution was turned over to Amazon and Chick-fil-A, all available vaccines were probably distributed by now to people who needed one of the most. You know, Chick-fil-A, I don't know, is Amazon, maybe. I could see that perhaps. But again, to be forward, I wouldn't want it to go to one. Right? And I brought this up many times. If we give it to just Amazon, if Amazon screws up, does something wrong, wants extra money, whatever, now we're kind of screwed. I'd rather give it to 2 or 3 vendors, right? In some type of joint or some type of agreement that deals with different issues or areas, or somehow divvy it up. Because what if Amazon, decides, just kidding, don't want to do it? Are we going to force them now? I would have gone, say, Amazon and then maybe also FedEx or something like that, right? So that there were 2 or 3 different areas. That's why I like the idea of both the chain and the local stores and multiple chains. I like that because if one chain decides I don't want it, or I'm scared, or they back out, or they have bad service, or they all of a sudden want to get paid or whatever, we're not stuck, right? When I talk to people about their businesses, it's one of the things I do as a trainer or as a consultant or coach. One of the things I tell people is if 40% or more of your revenue comes from one customer, you're in trouble. You are in trouble because that customer now owns you. I would say the same thing here. I wouldn't want more than 40% to be controlled by any one entity. I would rather that not happen. I try to do in the thirds, at least third. So if one goes down, the other two can probably easily pick that up, but also for integrity issues, right? If Amazon screws up, they're not going to tell anybody, right? Yeah, we screwed up and we put the wrong vaccine and somebody's up. They're never going to tell anybody. But if other people are there, they're all watching each other. So better chance that someone squeals on the other, right? So I'm with you, but I would rather have more than one, I guess is all I'm saying. I think the idea of two-man integrity, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, is a good idea in general. I think it is. So we all know they're full of shit. Let's hear how we can get rid of all of them and get folks like you and Larry Sharpe. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yes. I worked in a small pharmacy in the Bronx. I said a month ago we could do it. Yes. Especially if we can have interns from med schools. Oh, Alfred, brilliant. Yes. So you get interns from med schools, so gives them some practical experience. It gets them on the front line. They can work in the pharmacy. Come on, win, win, win. Absolutely. And you're a small pharmacy in the Bronx, which means the local people probably trust you, or you wouldn't have survived already, right? You would have already got under. And of course, you want customers, and you probably want the customers to come to you and not to go to CVS or Rite Aid or whatever's in your area. So you're probably like, you know what? Come to us, get your vaccine. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. No one's being forced. No one should tax money. Win, win, win. Alfred, well done. Thank you. Yes. So now that Biden is in office, Cuomo's going to continue blaming the federal government. Yeah, sadly he is. But now he doesn't call it Trump anymore. He calls it federal government. Way different. Just as long as it's not him. So I voted for Larry Sharpe for governor. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I love that. I love Cuomo Roast Tuesdays. Yes, thank you. So through a long history of leadership, management, and mentoring, new management, the biggest things that stands out about Cuomo is he wants control of everything. Yes, he has no delegation skills unless it's his laundry. He has no candor, and the buck does not stop with him. It's passed on to whoever is convenient. Football coaches are good at taking the blame. Andrew could learn from them. Yes. Yes. You know, I never forgot that when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a Marine in the 80s. There was one sergeant who had gone out of the Marine Corps and came back in. And I'd asked him why he came back in. And he said the one thing he saw that he loved that was in the Marine Corps that he struggled to find in many other aspects of the way he was working was the idea of taking responsibility. He said, you find it in the private world, he said, you know, the world. They call it the world. That's what we called it in Marine Corps. Outside of Marine Corps, it was called the world. So you find it in the world, but nowhere near like you find it in the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, it's always about responsibility. It's always about taking charge. He said this in the world, sometimes and sometimes not. And I think that was one of the things that stuck with me about the Marine Corps is there's always someone in charge. You're always responsible. Even if it isn't your fault. And there's the difference, right? It doesn't have to be your fault to be your responsibility. If you're the sergeant in charge and someone screws up, it's their fault they screwed up. But it's your responsibility to fix it. It's your responsibility to make sure they don't do it again. It's your responsibility to help them, mentor them, and get them through this. So blame is irrelevant. It's still your responsibility, whether it's your fault or not. And that's something that's very often lost in the civilian world, right? In the world. And when I'm in companies, I'm doing business stuff today. Anyway, when I'm in companies, I often ask this question. When someone messes up and makes a mistake, what's the question you ask them? You might say, why does that matter? Because the question that the people in a company ask tells a lot about the organization. Does the leader or the manager say, who told you to do that? Or does the leader say, why did you do it? Two separate questions. So I make some mistake and my boss is Matt, and Matt comes over and says, Larry, who told you to do that? That tells me in Matt's company, it's about blame. He's not trying to fix stuff. He's trying to fire somebody. He's not trying to fix stuff. He's trying to put someone let a head roll to show that he's tough. He's doing that. But he says, Larry, why'd you do that? And I go, well, I did it because Alfred told me to do it. I know Alfred told you to do it, but why'd you do it? Responsibility. Doesn't matter what Alfred said. You knew better. You should have known better. Why didn't you come to me? Different way of looking at things. And the best organizations are about why'd you do it, not who told you to do it. Big difference. So thank you for that, by the way, John. I appreciate that piece on leadership. That's great. So, oh my God, really? 16 inches of snow in New York. Yep. Absolutely. In the city. Yes, absolutely. And I was shoveling it. So Semper Fi, Steve. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Mental gymnastics, Sam says. Government wants state-run hospitals that buy supplies and vaccines, claims only the federal government can buy COVID vaccines. What kept New York State from buying vaccines if that was his plan? Answer, 0. And remember that? You're right, Sam. That was his plan. He said he's going to go around and do whatever it takes. Remember that? He did say that. And nothing. Now we just blame people. Nothing. He was never going to do that. Absolutely. So, yes. So, I'll pre-order that book now. It's not coming out yet, Alfred. It's not coming out yet. Eventually, it will come out, but not yet. So, thank you. You should have been governor. Devin, I wish another 2 million New Yorkers would have agreed with you. That would be nice. Yes. So, is your book on how you valiantly fought the coronavirus? Can you answer credit this book? Maybe mistakes him yourself. Yeah, I'll call it like, I don't know, Corona success. And I'll just tell people that it was me who defeated Corona. I mean, he just did it, so maybe I should too. Actually, the book is going to sound crazy for some of you. My book coming out is going to be on happiness. Yes, it'll be on happiness. Because I'm not joking when I say that the most important parts of what America is what was written in our divorce papers from the UK. Declaration of Independence. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Happy people don't protest because they're happy. Happy people don't fight in the streets. Happy people don't yell and scream on the internet. Happy people go off and live their happy lives. The happier we are, the better country we're going to have. That's just the way it works. And while we can't have a totally happy country, of course not, but the closer we move towards that, the better. So I'm about happiness. Yes. How are you able to manage your time and do so much? I'm looking for pointers. Bernard, I will tell you 2 things that I do well. 2 things that I do well that allows me to do this. Number 1, I delegate a lot. I'm actually a very good delegator. And I'm very often a hands-off leader. And those who work for me know that I'm very much a hands-off leader. We talk about what we want to achieve. I'm not very much, I don't really push on how we get things done. As long as we get them done at a certain time period, people don't do them. I don't get mad at them and yell at them. I find someone else who'll do it. And we move on until I find the right people on the bus. The goal of any good organization, before you start moving forward, is to make sure you have the right people on the bus. That's the most important thing. And when you make mistakes, and I do, you find new people. It's what you do until you find the right people on the bus. When you have the right people, you treat them well. You keep them with you. How you gain loyalty for people who will do a lot of work for you, believe it or not, is not iron fist. Cuomo doesn't know that. It's not how you do it. How you actually gain loyalty from people is failing in front of them. I'm very serious. And seeing them fail. And when they fail and you fail, you stay with them. Vulnerability is the key to good teamwork. Vulnerability is the key to loyalty. I'm loyal to my people. They failed me. I keep them. I fail them. They keep me. And now we keep going. So I think having the right people that you feel comfortable delegating to. If you notice that when the show was going on, there are people who will sometimes, will text or will post. I'm not judging that. I'm not telling them to do that. They're watching. They know they've been in the show and they'll do it. Many of you who reached out to me, you get a response from someone. It's not always me. And that's someone who just takes charge and does it. I don't tell them to do it or not do it. They understand what their responsibilities are and they take care of it. Delegation is a critical piece, which comes from loyalty. You have to be happy enough to let things go. You have to also accept that you will fail. The most important piece in being successful in life is understanding you will fail and understand that failure is not permanent. It's not permanent. Failure is an event. That's all it is. I was told by a very savvy executive coach many years ago, the name of Carol Hyatt. She said, failure is just an event. That's what it is. It's an event. It's a thing that happened. If you understand that failure is a thing that happened, that's what it is, a thing that happened, and treat it as such, you'll see failure differently. It's not pervasive. It's not permanent. It's not personal. It happened. How do you get around it? How do you deal with it? How do you learn from it? And the last piece I'll give you is the hardest one of all. If you want to be successful in anything you're going to do, anything, is deciding what not to do. You should ask yourself a very important question when things come to you, Bernard. This is a very important question. What happens if I do nothing? What happens if I do nothing? And if you go immediately to a worst case scenario, which some people do, or the opposite, a totally optimistic scenario, some people do, you're going to be in trouble. You want to instead look simply at what is the most probable outcome. That's it. You should be focusing always on the most probable outcome. That is my entire life. I put my life on things. What is the most probable outcome? And I am naturally optimistic. In case you hadn't noticed that, I'm naturally super optimistic. My wife, pessimistic. So together, we wind up making things that are actually much more realistic. So you want to find an answer that way. The people who tend to be pessimistic are people who are in fields like law, tech, finance. And that's a good thing. You're supposed to be. You're looking for what's wrong. You're trying to fix problems. That's great. People who tend to be more optimistic, branders, marketers, sales reps, because they have to be optimistic. They tend to be that. If you know that you're more optimistic or more pessimistic, it's not a bad thing. America is somehow obsessed with positive thinking. You got to always think positive. That's not always a good thing at all. That's a thing. It's not always a good thing. Most probable is actually the best thing. If you know you're optimistic, try to bring yourself down a bit. If you know you're pessimistic, try to bring yourself up a bit, and you'll probably be in that most probable place. So delegation, which comes from trust and loyalty, which means you accept failure as just an event and you keep moving. And lastly, think about things you shouldn't be doing. Lots of things you shouldn't be doing. You just don't have enough time. So I hope that was helpful. So let me move on here. Because CVS might make money if people come into their stores and buy the stuff. Yes, I guess King Cuomo hates prosperity. Yes, that's why CVS wants you in there, Paula. You go get your shot, you buy a candy bar or, whatever, pair of scissors or whatever you're going to buy in your CVS. I love it. Absolutely. Yes. I hope you're for president in 2024. I'd vote for you. Thank you. But again, it really depends upon what the odds of success are here. What I mean by success is not necessarily winning. I mean, I would hope to win, but to make real impact. That's what I want. And the reason why I ran for VP in 2016 was because I believed in my heart that all the other people who were running for president had a bigger footprint than I did. They were more popular, had more money. So why would I take that away from the party, right? I want the party to do well. If in 2024, for some insane reason, I'm the most popular guy running, then I might. But the odds of that are slim to none. The odds are someone more popular than me or who has more money or more gravitas who would actually want to run. That's the odds. If that's the case, I would take a VP slot, but I'd have to be super popular. So you better like, comment, share, Devin, if you want me to become more popular so I have a chance of making a real impact. That would be the issue. So thank you. All right. Hey, Larry, not to offend anyone, but if the numbers were favorable, would you consider a governor run on the Republican ticket? There's a special issue here in New York State that many people don't know. In New York State, we have fusion voting. Fusion voting means that in New York State, you can be on more than one line. Yes, your name can appear on the ballot multiple times. So I could be on like the Libertarian line, the Republican line, the Working Family. I could actually appear 2 or 3 times on a line. If there were a way for the Republicans to cross-endorse Libertarian, because I'm a Libertarian, right? That's who I am. So that's what I would run as. If there was a way for them to decide to cross-endorse me, I'd consider it. I would consider any cross-endorsement to include Republican or Working Families, Independent, Conservative. I would consider any cross-endorsement whatsoever. I'm always open to those ideas, but I don't want to promise either way because I don't know if that would make sense. I don't know if the Republicans would want me. I mean, the Republicans in New York State, many of them are very conservative, and they may want to push back hard against Cuomo just to be mean and angry, which may not get us an election. Right, that's the issue. I want to try to really make impact and maybe win. It depends if the Republicans are about punishment or if it's about winning. If they were about winning, I would consider it. So I hope that I answered your question. Yes. All right. Let's see here. When will your king stop blaming the federal government for fear that Uncle Joe might get mad at him? Yes, this is a problem. But he throws other people under the bus all the time, though. He doesn't care. He absolutely throws people under the bus. So he'll just keep doing it. He cares far more about himself than he does anybody else. Absolutely. Did West Virginia figure it out, or did they listen to you? I hope they listen to me. That'd be nice. Amash B24. Maybe. Amash is doing a lot in the party now, and I'm hoping that someone like him would consider a run. I hope we get someone in 2024 who has the popularity, can raise the money that he can run. That would be amazing. I would love someone like him to run, and I would absolutely take a VP slot on that ticket if he thought I was the right person. I totally would. I don't want to run with someone if he doesn't want me. I would not want to force that issue at all. I know you kind of can in the libertarian world. I don't think I'd want to do that. So yes. So, who needs Congress when you have Biden and Pence? You're correct, Pete. Who needs it in New York State when you have Cuomo executive orders? I completely agree. Yes, absolutely. So, yes, brother. Semper Fi, Marines. Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. So, the viewership of Larry's stream is criminally low. Probably doesn't help splitting viewers between two YouTube channels. I'm not sure, man. It's just a great question. If you have some background in this, I'm totally happy to hear this. This goes on 8 different platforms. So any individual platform may be low, but it really depends. Generally speaking, I get my biggest viewership on Twitter and Facebook usually. If I'm lucky on YouTube, I get a couple of hundred views, maybe 500 or 600 views max on YouTube. Facebook, I get thousands. The show on a good show gets about 5,000, 6,000 total views. Good shows get 10, 15. 1,000 views. Now, what does it actually mean? Actually, people who watch the entire show, I actually don't know, but that's the total number of views we get about. I did initially, some of you might have been paying attention, only run this on the Sharpe Way social media properties, and the viewership was not good. It was so low. So I then decided to put it on the Larry Sharpe properties also, and it got a lot more viewership. So, Maynard, if you've got some info and you want to share it, please, message the page. We will absolutely listen. We're happy to hear it. If you've got some ideas and you think there's a better way of doing it, I'm trying to grow this thing. If I'm making an error, my ears are wide open to a better answer. If you have one, please let us know. So thank you. Thank you for caring enough to post that. I do appreciate that. Yes. So, all right. See here. The National Guard didn't say yes. They said yes, sir. Then they did it. Also correct. Yes, absolutely. 100%. 9 people in New York State Department of Health have quit because most mishandling of this thing. Let's write a book. Joe, I love that. I love that. Yes, absolutely. So let me keep going here. Have you heard getting vaccinated after you had COVID doesn't reduce your chance of getting COVID again? Is that right? If I remember right, there was some idea when you first got COVID, they assumed, and they didn't know this up front, that it would give you about a year's worth of immunity. That was their assumption up front. And then I heard that now they're figuring out it isn't a year. It's kind of like 6 months because the COVID's is actually mutating. So it only gives you about 6 months and not a year. That's what I heard. And then I heard with the vaccine, one reason why they give you 2 doses is because of that, Tom. Supposedly the vaccine, if I remember right, the 2 doses is what gives you the long-term immunity. So I'm not really sure about that. It's a good question. If someone knows, I'm happy to have you guys post that if you would. That'd be great. So, all right. So if I can keep doing this. I hear libertarians as a whole need to figure out our border stance. Mine is already there. I've given you a plan. I've given you the plan, the plan for the borders, that you can both have secure borders and have vibrant immigration. You absolutely can have both. Absolutely. Yes, you absolutely can have both. So let's see if I can keep going here. Down here. Shouldn't we be more open about the fact that this isn't a traditional vaccine with a weakened or dead violence, but an engineered mRNA is designated to directly write your cells? It is. And for those of you who care about that, Maynard, this is a great point. Some people really care. Some people don't. For those of you who care about that, there are 2 people who were on Bill Maher last Friday night. Thank you for bringing this up, Maynard. For those of you who care, head over to YouTube or check out that clip from Bill Maher's real-time show last Friday, and the 2 people do a podcast on it, and they discussed exactly what you just talked about and why they think it could work, won't work, that kind of thing. They actually had, what I loved, it was an actual conversation on vaccines, and it wasn't vaccines suck or vaccines are awesome. It wasn't that. It was, let's have a conversation about how these vaccines work. It was actually a pretty good segment. So for those of you who care, thank you, Maynard. You could check out Bill Maher's Real Time from last week. Literally, he does, I think, 10 minutes, maybe more, with two people, has a vaccine discussion, and those people have a podcast. For those of you interested, please jump on board. It does talk exactly about what we just talked about. Thank you. Yes. All right. See if I can keep going down here. I saw my first 5 maskers today. Well, there we go. There we go. I love that. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep doing this. The ones that are for the rich are actually the Rite Aids. Oh, Austin, thank you. The Rite Aids are for the rich people. Okay. I'll buy that. Yes. There we go. I live in the country in upstate New York, outside of Binghamton. Have a CVS 50 minutes from me, or Walgreens 25 minutes. Yes, it's not a thing. Absolutely, it's not a thing. Yes. Off topic, Larry. Whenever someone mentions West Virginia, I just think of the song "Country Roads Take Me Home." Sometimes I do too. Right? I've been to West Virginia a couple of times. Lovely country. I don't know if any of you been there, but just beautiful area. A lot of beautiful area in West Virginia. It's great. So, but very rural for me. I mean, the largest cities in West Virginia are nowhere near New York City. I mean, I don't think one city in West Virginia has more than 100,000 people in it. And of course, my county has 2 million. So very different from my way of living. That's for sure. So, my uncle had a heart attack, but hospital said he died from COVID. You know, there's going to be some of that, Johnny. I don't know how much of that. I think in the long run, maybe a year from now, people are going to come back and say, you know what? It really wasn't whatever, 400,000. It was 300,000 or whatever the number is. I think there's going to be some of that because sadly, particularly in New York, but in other areas too, they were paying hospitals for COVID patients and they weren't letting hospitals do other things. Right? You couldn't do the elective surgeries, which is where they make all the cash. So you couldn't do that. So, but they were paying them, I think New York State was $26,000. I forgot what the number was, but it's something like that for every COVID patient. So they were marking people COVID all over the place so they can make their cash back. And that sounds horrible, but there was some of that happened. Who knows how much? To be forward, I'm not saying there was mass fraud. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are some overblown numbers. I think we'll find out what those numbers were in the future. I don't know what they're going to be. But Johnny, I think that's a thing. Like what you've said, you're not the first person to tell me that. I mean, you're probably the 15th person to tell me that. So I know there is an issue with it. I don't know how big the issue is. I don't know. So, all right, see if I can do this. Let's see here. Under 40K is the new rich? I guess so. I have a CVS and a Walgreens cross street from each other. You are loaded, Bernard. I didn't know you're so wealthy. Thank you for watching. Hey, throw some money my way, Mr. Rich Guy. Go to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Throw me some cash, Mr. Rich Guy. You got a CVS and a Walgreens. Excuse me. Sorry. Yes. There we go. How do you feel about medical personnel sharing photos of their COVID vaccine certificates on social media? Within their right to share, not debating that, but does contribute to the division between vaccinated and non-vaccinated? Or are we going to get another case of second-class citizens? Ooh, Amanda, I hadn't thought of it that way. See, I thought it was a good idea because their goal was to get people to trust the vaccine. And voluntarily, I have no problem with that, right? I'm trying to avoid a mandate. So if you choose to get the vaccine because you trust those medical personnel, totally fine with that. Good for you. Do what you think is best. But I hadn't thought of from the idea of a second-class citizen. Probably about a month ago, someone mentioned the idea that are we going to have a situation to where if you aren't vaccinated, you can't do certain things, and to by default you are a second-class citizen. It's an interesting idea. I think that might happen, but if it happens, it won't be because of this. It'll be because enough organizations decide to not service you in some way, shape, or form if you're not vaccinated. I think that's how they'll create a second-class citizen. I don't think this will create it. I think your fear is a valid fear that might happen. I don't think this will be the catalyst. I think the catalyst will be, whatever. You can't get in a bus if you don't have a vaccine, or you can't fly in a plane if you don't have a vaccine. You can't go to school if you don't have a vaccine. You can't get a job if you don't have. I think that is the way that we may have a second-class citizen issue. I hope that answers your question. So, all right. I am Dogecoin rich. Matt, I got to tell you, I knew friends in 2018 who were buying Dogecoin, and I was like, really? That's your thing? Why are you buying Dogecoin? Those who don't know, Dogecoin is another coin that is from that dog, the Doge dog that is in his picture right there. And Dogecoin is exploding recently, like just going crazy. People are buying Dogecoin. I would have never thought that was a thing. Again, I'm behind the 8 ball. Matt, why didn't you hook me up? How come you didn't tell me about this? So I could throw some money in Dogecoin. But yes, that's a thing. And people would tell me about it. And I was like, that's a fad. That's just something that the cool kids are doing now. That'll go away. See how much I knew. I should have been in Dogecoin. Said I was like Litecoin or something. I got my butt kicked in Litecoin or something, whatever I was in. But it didn't work. So thank you for that. Yes. All right. See if I can go here. Here in Florida, within my circle of friends, CVS has become the popular place for getting tested. Yes, easier in and out, better organized than the government drop-up sites here. Exactly. Yet again, we see this again and again and again. Yes. Larry, it grinds my gears. The mainstream media refuses to talk about preventative measures like zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D. Yes, I agree, Christine. Then this is my point. If you remember, when I first talked about this back literally almost a year ago now, what's it now, 11 months ago, I brought up exactly what we're talking about. I wanted to put the government guidelines on the New York State site and holistic guidelines and other guidelines so that you can see all three of them and pick the one that you think is the best. We test them all, see what works, and start giving the data back as long as we're transparent on the data. Right? I know a lot of my friends talk about vitamin C and vitamin D help tremendously. Someone told me once that this is what I heard. Take that any way you want to take that, is that one of the reasons why COVID trashes your body is it basically attacks and sucks up all the antioxidants in your body. So if you throw a bunch of vitamin C and vitamin D into a patient when they have COVID, the odds of them having long-term damage goes down because you're flooding it with antioxidants. Now, I don't know if that's true. I want to be clear. But maybe it is. And that data should be available for people to test and to try and to see how effective it is for them. And what if you can't take the vaccine because you have an issue, right? A medical issue where you can't take it. This might be the best you can get anyway. So why wouldn't you do this? I'm with you completely, Christine. The problem is, as we try to force one view upon someone, we actually increase the odds of disinformation. Because when you say there's only one way, people don't believe you. They just don't. So they start going into anything else versus saying, here's a couple of ways, check these out. Then it's going, oh, okay, well, maybe this is it. Let me try this, let me try that. The more you try to lessen the amount of information, almost always the less people believe you. So I agree with you completely. Yes. So, all right. See if I can keep going on here. Sharp run 2024. Thank you, my friend. Yes. Yes. Don't people get the flu vaccine every year without building special sites? Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Cuomo's the worst. Yes. Also true. 100%. Yes. Business owner here, only 2.5 years old. Just keep swimming has been my motto since the shutdown. You just try to tread water until, things get better. You try to find the right thing, Amanda. I agree. I have gone out. I've been there. I've changed my entire business model more than once. Last year was another time I've changed my entire business model. You are absolutely correct. We have to try to just be better on these things. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate that completely. So, all right, see if I can keep going here. What government incentivized the wrong thing? How could this happen? Yes, absolutely. That does happen all the time. So, did Gabbard officially change the party? No, absolutely no. Gabbard has not. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat. I like Tulsi, right? I mean, I hope she comes to us. I hope she comes to us, hangs out with us. She can spend many years with us and becomes more libertarian. I hope she does. I would love for her to become libertarian. I don't think she's there yet. I don't, but I think she's on her way, and I'm happy to bring her into the fold and maybe get her closer. I would like that 100%. I would love to do that. Absolutely. Have you been in real time? I have not. I've never been in real time. Maybe one day. We'll see. Maybe one day. So, all right. You know what worries me about Larry's chances at a high federal office? He keeps sharing his plans and opinions. He is saving them after he gets elected. Oh, well, maybe that's what it is. Okay. I'll buy that. Ron Paul should have you as guest on his new Liberty Report. I agree. That will bring mass exposure to the Sharpe Way, 2 different libertarian styles, and make a great show. You should tell him that. I've actually opened for Ron Paul twice. I've introed him more than once at events. We've done libertarian events together at the same time. So absolutely. Please, let's do that. Yes. So, all right, let me see if I can keep doing this. We need to start a national campaign to get Larry Nasty syndicated. I agree, Jeff. Jump on, please. I'm in. Absolutely. I'm absolutely in. So, all right, keep going if I can grab a couple more of these. Let's see. I bought 8 shares of AMC today for fun. I like it, man. Good for you. Good luck. I love that. Guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. I bring it up all the time. I did not bring up the advocates. The advocates.org are very, very important. They are a big sponsor of the show. Please head on over there. Click the link up there in the description. Go there. Take the human respect test. It's only about 3 minutes. I'm going to talk to you about it right now. Larry Sharpe here, host of the Sharpe Way show. And boy, do we need to start coming together and healing now more than ever. Best way to do that? Respect. We got to respect each other so we can start to come together. How can we facilitate that? Head over to the advocates.org/human respect tests. Yes, there's a test for human respect. You didn't think there was? There is. Take that test. About 3 minutes. That's it. It's done. Share it online. Share it on your social media. Let other people see it. Let them take the test. Share it with others. Let's start talking about respect. Let's start talking about healing. Let's find the right answer for us to move forward. The advocates.org human respect tests. Yes, please take that test if you could. There is something else I want to bring up real fast if I could. For those of you who know, Clubhouse is a thing. If you have an iPhone, I will have a Clubhouse room tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Head on over to Clubhouse if you have an iPhone. If you're already part of our Clubhouse, awesome. If you're not, get someone to invite you. And look for me, Larry Sharpe, on Clubhouse, and follow me. 8 p.m. tomorrow evening after an early Sharpe Way. I'll be talking about New York businesses, lockdowns, good or bad or something else. Yes, I'll be talking to me on the phone. We can just talk. See how easy that is? It's amazing. We've gone back to the 90s in chat rooms. But it's fine. It's called Clubhouse. Those of you guys who love Clubhouse, go ahead. Please check that out. Head on over to Clubhouse. Get an invite if you have. Got to be an iPhone. I had to use someone else's iPhone because I don't have one. But anyway, I have one now. New York City, business lockdowns, good, bad, or something else. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. ET on Clubhouse. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for tonight. I appreciate all the time you gave me. I appreciate all the comments that you dealt with today. I hope it was interesting and fun. I will see you all tomorrow.